What's up? How you doing? It's me, Analog Attack. Good to see you. And I'm chuffed today to have all the way from Blighty, England, Barney, Greenway. How you doing, mate?
All right, mate, not too bad.
Good to see you.
Afternoon, as it were, where you are.
Well,
Yeah,
it's good evening.
yeah,
Good evening. Just have me tea.
yeah.
Yeah. So have you been out for your bike ride this morning?
You know what? I didn't actually go out this morning because it's, as we kind of spoke about before
Yeah.
we've had some pretty bad storms here,
Oh yeah.
and I am, I'm sort of, I go out there when nobody else does really,
Me too.
but I've got my limits, I've got my limits, it gets, because I live on the coast, it does get pretty brutal sometimes,
The wind.
so you got to be careful, but so I didn't go out this morning or yesterday morning for the same reason, and now I'm starting to feel guilty because I didn't go. But I've got a nice ride this afternoon,
Right,
so
right down to
I'm going to
Brighton.
make up for it. Yeah, over to Brighton, yeah, which is
Yeah.
10 miles, so.
Yeah. Have you got a decent bike? I've been doing the cycling myself down by the river in Osaka. It's really nice. Do you know what I mean? Down
Yeah, I know that walk. I know that
beautiful.
bit of Osaka, yeah. But yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's not a particularly expensive one, but it's actually a bike from Germany, and
Uh,
it's actually it's been really reliable. I've had it some time now, and it's obviously you got to look after it.
yeah.
You can't just expect the bike to kind
No.
of not fall to bits. If you cane it to death, but.
Uh,
I lube it up, the important parts and all the rest of it. But
I
no,
mean,
it's all right. It's pretty good,
yeah, I
So.
think for someone that doesn't really like exercise, it's a sort of really enjoyable way, sort of keeping
So the
shape.
thing is, you can take it at you. The thing about biking, I mean, I do go full on. I set the pedals like hard,
Oh, yeah.
and really sort of when I get back from a ride, I'm generally sort of um, you know, I need to kind of rev myself up, go take a shower, because I'm
Yeah,
pretty knackered when I get back from
yeah,
ride. But
yeah,
but you can take it at your own pace. You don't have to do that. You can still get good exercise by
yeah.
just going at a moderate
Good.
sort of thing. So yeah, that it's great. And of course, bicycles is you can go wherever you want in a reasonably
Yeah,
quick time, and you can see stuff that just keeps you stimulated.
yeah, I
So
like it. I like it's nice. Yeah. When I
I,
saw you
I
last,
went cycling. Sorry,
oh, go ahead, Barney. Sorry, mate.
no, I went cycling in Japan a couple of times.
Did you really? Where'd you
Um,
go?
well, and my ex girlfriend Kanome, who I think you
Mm,
know, she had a couple of bikes, so I basically used to cycle just through central Tokyo
oh, wow.
to her works,
Yeah,
where her works was, and but it was a little bit cheating because she had the electric bikes,
they're nice.
which I'm not going to make fun of people
Uh,
that use those, because
yeah, yeah,
the more people that get out on them, the better. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? That go out generally, but it is too easy to go for the electric
It
mechanism.
is a bit.
When
It
there's a
is a
bit
bit.
of a tough.
Yeah. But it's nice sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Uh,
no, we used to I just used to cycle. If she used to leave the bikes in the centre of Tokyo, we'd kind of, I know it's a bit naughty, but we used to go to the pub and then cycle back on the bikes, But
I've learnt my lesson from that. I broke my wrist doing that.
yeah, and of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
if you get
Well,
caught doing it, it's pretty serious. It
they've
can get
really, it's really strict now. You can even, I know a woman that got put in jail. She got caught in
yeah,
Tokyo.
oh, totally.
Yeah. It's apparent. It's like drinking and driving, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah. Which don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I'm not the biggest fan of the police in general, but
yeah,
I do understand the consequences
yeah.
of being drunk and operating, vehicles. It's just not a good idea.
I've
You
learnt
know
my
what
lesson.
I
I'm
mean?
not doing
It's
that
not.
again. Yeah,
It's not necessarily yourself. It's the thought of endangering other people.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Not. It's not. It's just not cool, basically.
yeah. All right, so that's good because talking about cycling and beer, I think a lot of people might not know this about the beer you've been making in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sort of fascinated by it. So this is the one from a couple of years ago, I think, the cream stout
Yeah.
with the cream ale with the chilies.
Yeah. Cream ale with the chilies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
So what it was, I, there's been lots of talk from
Mm,
different people around about doing beer collaborations,
yeah,
but but I'm sort of quite picky, you know. I've always had this thing where with Napalm where I don't want to commoditize Napalm, you know. I never wanted to do. Yes, we're a band. We put CDs out, you know. We sell T-shirts, blah blah blah, like a lot of bands do. But I don't want to overdo it. You know, Napalm's not a bloody 100 yen supermarket and nothing like that. You know, we're not. You know, so we try not to do too much stuff. So I was always a little bit cautious about stuff. But Randy, a friend of mine
Yeah,
from ALEWORKS in
really good
Tokyo.
friend of mine as well. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, you know Randy. So I mean, I met Randy. I don't know, 3-4 years ago at a Goza gig in Tokyo. You know, yeah, and we just got talking. You know, and we became quite good friends. You know, and really good friends actually.
Yeah.
And then and so he suggested that we do a collaboration. Yeah, because he's a really good brewer. You know, he has a real feel for it.
He's
You know,
really good at it. He's really good. Yeah.
yeah. So we decided rather than just put a beer out, you know, we decided to obviously give it a sense of purpose, you know. So we decided to do a benefit for homeless people in Japan because
it's Second Harvest, right?
Second Harvest, yeah. So all the proceeds go to that basically, and it's still being done. So the reason why I chose that is because I feel in Japan that homeless people get overlooked, you know, because it's okay, we have the same homeless situations in Europe, but in Japan, I think there's a certain, there's the idea of being dishonorable somehow because you don't, and I just find that to be like really strange, you know, almost like a little bit inhumane, you know.
Tricky one.
And so you always try and target where you think the help is needed most. So I just thought it was really important that we did that, you know, and hopefully it helps, you know. And we also had some other ideas. I mean, I've got a new beer that's come out, an Imperial Stout.
This one?
That is, coincidentally enough,
I've already drunk them. I'm sorry.
Right, okay. Do you like them both, by the way?
I did. Honestly, it was top quality.
Yeah.
And I let someone else have a little bit of a sip without sort of saying who.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, this is, you know, top notch."
So that one, that one also goes to Second Harvest, but also, I mean, I left Randy to kind of structure it because obviously I trust him to do it. So there's also some of the money goes to single mothers, you know, in Japan, you know, who also have a difficult time.
That's a big social sort of. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
And
of course, it should never be a social stigma. That shouldn't, you know. I mean, there's just no reason for it to be, you know. So, and the next, you know, I mean, I'm going to do more with Randy, you know, and so I want to do something specifically for the I forget the Japanese name for them, but the people who still survived the atomic bombs. Because I think those people get sort of pushed to the fringes, you know, and it's really on. Those people went through absolute hell, you know, and I really feel, you know, obviously you can see all the documentaries and stuff. I've never met any of those people personally, but I just find the people that have survived that go out and speak about not, you know, disarming the world and not going to war again ever. I just find it to be quite effective, you know, within the people that they manage to reach out to. And I just think it's something, I think those people need support as much as anybody else.
Barney, you know, Guy from Gudon and Bloodsucker Records.
Guy,
doing a lot of work in that area.
I know Guy. I know him. Yeah, he's a great guy actually. Yeah.
So we're in Japan. I've got to talk about Japanese hardcore with you. I've got to do a little bit of Japanese hardcore.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you sort of first got into, what was the first sort of Japanese band you heard or anything like that?
I think it was like really back in the day, you know, 80s, probably 85, 86, you know. I mean, I'd heard some stuff, you know, obviously I'd heard Gowser, really the first, what was the first Gowser album called? Stupid Fuckheads, was it, or
Fuckheads.
something like? Was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
Fuckheads? Yeah, yeah.
Bit
So I
slower,
heard
but
that,
still good. Yeah.
and it just blew my mind. And obviously things like Lip Cream, Auto, the early bands, what was one of the first bands called? I can't remember. I'm terrible. My memory's
I mean, the
terrible.
memory
So
does go a little bit, doesn't it? But
yeah,
Peace Comp was good too, with the MD
yeah, 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 yeah,
and that on
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I wish I could remember the first band that I heard. Quite glam looking almost, as some of those early Japanese bands.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of them. I can't remember. But yeah, so all that stuff. And then, of course, I have to also thank Mickey from Napalm, the first, because he was mad into it, and he introduced me to some bands that I was like, fuck, this is great, but things like Googleplex, remember
that was
Googleplex?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I actually
I,
had I actually had one of the really early Systematic Death 7 inches. That it was like a white cover or
that's it.
something
Yeah,
like that.
the blue cover. I think that was a gig only thing that they gave away.
Yeah, yeah, I got one. I got one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? It was kind of symptom. It was like very, very, very much along the lines of it sort of had an identity based upon where it was. It obviously had Scandinavian hardcore, which had its own.
Yeah.
Although it was fast, noisy, and you could say in some ways quite similar to Japanese hardcore in the attack, the sonic attack.
Yeah.
You could also you could also listen to it and go, well, that's from Sweden or Sweden or Finland, but that's from Japan. You could still somehow separate out, the two things. And, to me, part of the appeal for it to me is that it just sounds vibrant. It sounds alive. It sounds like not sort of pre-planned or a tick box exercise. It's in the moment, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it so much. I mean, that was the first time that's why I came to Japan. The first time is I was obsessed, with the Japanese hardcore. I was just totally in love with it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Ended up doing the MCR.
Yeah.
I did that, the thing in England for quite a few years, and that's I was really, really, really into it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of the bands that came over like in the early days, like Rose?
Yeah, I saw Gowser and Chaos UK when they toured in the UK in 87, 88, I think it was. And actually, I tried to find them because I saw Gabba from Chaos UK. We did some gigs in England. He came down to gigs and he asked me for some photos because there's some of me at that gig, Gowser at Chaos UK, but I can't find them. I looked through my boxes upstairs, but I can't find them. So that was really the only band I saw in the UK because they never really made it over here. A lot of Japanese bands,
Well, yeah, I know Gauze. Rose,
yeah,
and then
Rose, yeah, and obviously SOB came over toured with Napalm,
I saw them both tours. That was
yeah. I played with SOB with Napalm when in my first with Benediction, we supported Napalm and SOB in Birmingham, on that tour. So
yeah, amazing. So what was I going to say? So yeah, going back to Systematic Death, I remember because when you came in 2016, you took Systematic Death on the tour, didn't you? And I thought that was really cool.
It was great.
Yeah.
Captain and the drummer became another good friend of mine through George Sand. I don't know if you know George Sand.
I don't know him, no.
Turtle Island. He's in, Turtle Island. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about Turtle Island, just sort of mention what an incredible band they are. Maybe a lot.
Yeah.
Turtle Island, but
definitely. So the thing with and also on that tour with System of Death, we also played with Guy's band, his new band. Again, my memory's fucking terrible.
Origin of M.
Yeah, Origin of M played on that. A couple of other bands played because we played like Hakata and a couple of. So there was There's a few bands, real reggae
Yeah,
played on one
they
of the
played, and
gigs as
also I
well.
couldn't make it. I was just, I couldn't make it.
Yeah, because you know what? Here's the thing, Mike. So it's a little bit annoying sometimes whenever we tour. Some of the hardcore bands that we really love, you know, from they just the promoters just don't reach
They
out
don't.
to them, you know, and get them on the gigs. So I was like, look, you know, so we had this tour ready to go, and Nambi was like, what band shall we get? I'm like, get some of the Japanese hardcore bands, you know, some of the bands that we actually love, you know, they're really great bands. You know, we like them, we talk about them a lot. Let's fucking get them on the gigs, you know. Why are they not playing, you know? So so that's how it happened, you know, and it will happen again in the future, you know. Yeah, we had Spike Shoes in Sendai as well,
they're
which
from
was
Sendai, right? Yeah.
yeah. Spike Shoes played in Sendai, so great, you know, and I'm hoping the next tour we can do the same thing, you know, perhaps with some other bands, you know, from around and about. So, you know.
That was a man. I think the last time I saw you was last year with I Hate God and Melt Banana in Osaka.
Yeah. Melt Banana, you know, obviously a little bit sort of out there in terms of other genres of stuff, but also very hardcore kind of focused in their approach, you know, and stuff. So, but yeah, great. You know, you know, it's. I mean, speaking generally about this stuff, it's great to be able to go out with bills and bands on bills that it's not a predictable lineup. You know, just like make it interesting for people.
Turtle
You know,
Island was the real sort of standout for me. I don't know if
yeah,
anyone watching is sort of familiar with Turtle Island, but they're sort of a 12, 14 piece, like loads of traditional Japanese drums. Yeah, I mean, incredible band.
Yeah, fantastic. Again, you know, rooted in punk, you know, and you know, just a different band, you know, just a really great um, just a really great band, you know, and you know, vibrant, alive, you know, very spontaneous, you know, but also musically very just completely interesting and left field, you know, and a lot of times it just that's what you want, you know, that you don't want the same old, you know.
Yeah. So I guess I was thinking sort of me and you are probably about the sort of same age. I'm
Yeah, I'm
53
51
now.
now, so
Yeah. So I was thinking sort of in the 80s, we were probably sort of going to see a lot of the same gigs and everything, you know, in England. And I was sort of thinking back recently about sort of what a great time that was, you know, with like down in Bristol,
yeah,
we had like the Tropic Club, and then there was TJ's in Newport.
that's right.
And
That's
then, of
right,
course,
yeah.
you had the Mermaid in Birmingham.
Yeah, the Mermaid,
So I just want to sort of hear some, you know, stories about the Mermaid and what sort of gigs were going on in England back at that time, you know.
Yeah. Well, we had I mean bands like well, Sacrilege, you know, from Birmingham, who well, actually they weren't from Birmingham, outside of Birmingham, but you know, Sacrilege used to always play there. And what was good about that bands like Sacrilege was that, I mean, they came from the kind of Discharge, you know, with War Wound, you know, Damien's band War Wound, and but they also had the really crusty metal side of things. So the two scenes were kind of closely aligned, you know, but there was no, it was all the same kind of ethos, like, you know, anybody can play, anybody can come up and play, you know, these gigs are open to everybody. There was no restrictions on people. It was a very open kind of thing, you know, and it just fostered such great, memorable moments. You know, I mean, Doom. You know, I know. You know, Stick and Brian. You know, I saw Chumbawamba, I think, back in the day before they were, you know, before they kind of went more of a pop band. You know, I saw Attitude Adjustment at the Mermaid. I mean, Deviated Instinct. I don't know how many times I saw them, a thousand times.
I actually found a couple of some flyers. I don't know if these is like a jog of memory.
Yeah, that was an all-day fest. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's a killer lineup, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum. I saw them in Portsmouth probably about the same time. Like,
yeah.
Which it's got Even You Could Become Infected at the bottom. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not quite
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, at the moment. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. But it's good, generic Napalm Death and Chaos UK, on the same
Yeah,
bill. It's all the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember it well. I mean, I'd struggle to remember the individual gigs. So I went to so many of them, if I'm honest,
Yeah.
I mean, I would go to the Mermaid every Saturday at one point, even if the gig that was on that weekend wasn't the typical sort of gig. Even if it was another kind of gig, I'd go to
Mm.
the Mermaid. It just became a place of congregation for people,
Yeah.
And I've got absolutely wonderful memories of being there. Such friendships, that were formed there,
Yeah.
and the nastiest scrumpy cider in the world,
Well,
But
I was going to say that because some of these gigs I sort of have very vague memories of, especially with Chaos UK and Disorder, they get you on the
yeah, yeah.
rider.
I saw this. I saw. I'd say I got a classic Disorder story
Oh,
for
go
you
on
when they played at Edwards in Birmingham. So Taff basically
then.
started pulling pints off the bar. Taff from Disorder started pulling pints for himself without telling the bar staff, and they fucking kicked him out of the gig. Wouldn't let him back in, which was
Uh,
quite funny.
I've got a Taff story. I think I can tell it. We put out a Disorder video on MCR, and we had a bit of money from him, and he came over
Yeah,
from Norway, and he sort of came down to the squat where I was living in Bath, and he
yeah.
went out to my mate's bedroom, and he saw the Gizm like Detestation, like first LP. He just
Yeah, yeah,
jumped
yeah.
on it and broke it.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah, yeah.
like that.
I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, funny you should mention that because I think Disorder played with us in Norway.
Oh,
This is, I mean, I'm going back 15 years now or something like that. They played on this. They played on this mini festival that we did, I think. So yeah, it was really weird. But yeah, I mean, you gotta be cautious when inviting some of them mad bastards around your house because
yeah,
like I know Cars UK guys. I mean, Gabba told me some stories that they stopped at people's houses in more recent times, and like stories of them pissing in the corner of people's houses,
yeah,
because they couldn't get to the vog because they're so
yeah,
pissed. And it's like, remind me never to like invite you around my house, when
yeah. But good times. There's one more. It's
yeah.
not, it's not from the Mermaid, but this is one that for me was a real sort of
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The Caribbean
yeah,
scene. Yeah, yeah,
Ipswich.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I hitchhiked from Bournemouth all the way over, and yeah, this is sort of one of my.
I didn't go. I definitely didn't go to that gig. I can say for sure. But I remember. I remember the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
And there's one thing I really like about it. You can't see it, but sort of under Napalm Death, it says severe hardcore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's how
yeah.
they described it,
Which is apt.
right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, what? That term should have been
Severe hardcore.
severe.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
kind
it's
of
perfect.
it's kind of understated, but still does the. But you hear, mate. Here's a story for you. This is quite a frustrating one.
All right.
So there's a guy from Birmingham called Louis who was
All right.
absolutely mad. He was in a band called Rotunda, and
Yeah.
another band back in the day, and I wish I could remember the name of Louis' band back in the day.
Mm.
Um, oh God, no, I can't remember. I can't remember the name of his band.
Mm.
You know him, I'm sure.
Birmingham band.
You'd know Louis. If
Yeah.
you ever knew Louis, you'd know him because he was really loud and always really enthusiastic. But
Right.
so what he did was, me and him and a few others, we used to hitchhike to go and see Antisect,
Oh.
in theory. But then Antisect, of course, were renowned for cancelling gigs.
Yeah.
They would
I
they
never
would
got to see him. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
they would cancel all the
Yeah.
time. So we ended up hitchhiking, doing these epic journeys across the country to roll up to gigs, and it not happen. I think things are coming to mind as I'm speaking here. So,
Oh,
mate, I'm going to tell you one of the most
oh,
disappointing things for me
okay.
ever
Go on
in the
then.
world. So luckily I didn't have to go across country to see it, because had I got there and found out this particular gig was cancelled, I'd have fucking absolutely been crestfallen beyond. So
Right.
De Kreutzen, the US band,
Yeah.
were set to play in Birmingham,
Uh,
and they fucking cancelled on the day. I remember rolling up in Birmingham to the little gig where it was going to be. I can't remember which club it was. It was actually, as you come into Birmingham, if anybody knows Birmingham, it's on the Queensway. There was a gig there that was it wasn't open for very long, and they didn't do much stuff as far as I remember. But so I rolled up and saw this little bit of handwritten note on the door saying De Croydson tonight is cancelled, and the building was just empty, and I was fucking absolutely gutted, you know, because I love that band, man, like De Croydson and all those, you know, US hardcore bands, you know.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a funny story. Not funny, but I had exactly the same thing. The one time I went to Birmingham, I went out with that band Zygote, which is So I put out their record, and they had a gig in Birmingham. We drove all the way up there, and same thing. We just got to the venue, and it was just a sign, sort of, gig cancelled.
Yeah.
Just drove all the way back. That was my
gutted. Absolutely gutted. You
know, Cal came over as well from Nottingham.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we just went to the pub, and they didn't have any money. So me and Cal just went to the pub. And,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, mate, you kind of, with them gigs back then, you'd rev yourself up to be ready, you know, because you get so excited, you know. And then it was like, it was the ultimate come down. Almost,
I mean, that poster from Ipswich, I mean, I remember seeing it in Animal Sounds, and I was on the dole. I think I even sold records just to be able to go and, you know, go to Ipswich and see the gig. Exciting. So,
yeah, totally. I mean, you'd talk about I mean, I saw Heresy like fucking loads of times, you know, loved them, you know.
Best time
I mean, I have to say as well. Sorry, mate.
I used to go and stay with Calv in Nottingham. It was always a good time.
Yeah. I must say as well, that remaster they did a couple of years ago sounds fucking amazing, considering what the original release sounds like.
I've heard tell of this, because I'm just like, you know, but everyone's saying, you know, if you didn't.
No, mate, it's great. Trust me. Yeah. I'm with you on, you know, I don't know about the, you know, the idea of this, but mate, you got to admit the original sounds so bad, you know.
That was a bit of a disappointment when it came out.
Yeah, but I mean, sound-wise, not song-wise, sound-wise, you know. But the remaster sounds fucking amazing. So anybody that ain't got it, I would heartily recommend, you know.
All right, I'm in, count me in. All right, Barney, let's get to Napalm Death. And this is the vinyl channel, right? So this is it's supposed to be a vinyl channel, so everyone's going to go, where are the records? So I'm going to sort of show some records just to sort of segue.
Sure.
Stuff. Yeah, so I'm sort of fascinated by the 90s period because I missed it, you know, and then I rediscovered it later. And it was sort of like Motorhead, you know what I mean? The same thing, I sort of missed it for some reason.
Yeah. And then hang on, mate, I've got to plug in, actually.
All right, plug in.
My laptop is
all right.
Is dying for some reason, so just bear with me 1 second.
All right, mate.
I'm just going to grab something out of the cupboard. You know, sorry about this randomness.
No, people are used to it on my channel.
Yeah. We don't want it to be completely choreographed.
God, no editing. No.
Yeah. Just 1 second, mate, and I'll just plug in here. Yeah, it's bringing back a lot of memories, this chat. So
yeah, I thought you might enjoy it. You know, it's like, you know, me too. I've been thinking about it a bit recently. You know,
good memories. I mean, I miss it, mate. If I'm completely honest, I miss those days. Yeah, I mean, it's been brilliant. You know, I'm so lucky in that I've got to see the world with Napalm. You know, play the music and spread the ideas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do miss them days. It was so disappointing when it disappeared, and it ended on a bit of a bad note, really. I
was going to ask you a little bit about that because, you know, like I wasn't in the band or anything, but I sort of do remember that little bit of sort of, they've done a peel session and you know, we can't be doing that and all that sort of which I didn't like, even, you know, not being in a band. I thought was a bit, you know.
Well, the thing is, mate, is that it seemed to me, other people might give you a different sort of view on it. You know, it seemed to me that, you know, a couple of bands started to get attention. I mean, Napalm, obviously, Heresy also, you know, and maybe 1 or 2 other bands. Yeah. And the point is that I always kind of saw it like this, you know, those bands weren't, this whole thing about selling out, which is an often overused term, and to be honest, in a lot of time, sometimes it is applicable. You know, I think if bands deliberately go out to sell to crack a market is a horrible phrase, but bands deliberately go out and mold themselves to do that, then yes, of course, then it applies. But Napalm, obviously I can't speak for Heresy, but Napalm wasn't really doing anything different. The ideas were still the same, and so people kind of started to talk behind each other's backs, I think, and it all got really a bit spiteful and a bit nasty, and consequently the whole thing kind of fell apart. And with the Mermaid closing down as well, it took that central point away, and it was never the same after that. I felt other people might say differently, but
I remember even Cal saying that he was getting a lot of sort of abuse because he had his distribution deal, Revolver, and all this sort of thing.
Yeah. Thing is, mate, the thing that I look at it like this, yes, there are certain things that I will not do with Napalm. Napalm's ethos is such that we're very mindful of what we do, because we just don't want to, certain things just don't sit well with us, So, but that, there are ways to do it in this where you still get your ideas out there to the wider world, and surely that's the point. The one thing that always disappointed me a little bit about the sort of, not the Mermaid specifically, but the Mermaid type scene, whichever club that might be around the UK or Europe or wherever, I suppose, is that it felt a tiny bit exclusive, like, oh, we don't want too many people coming to this because it's meant to be. Yeah, but if you've got good ideas and you've got good musical expression, why do you just want to keep giving it to the same ears? If your ideas are meant to be expansive, then surely the idea is to get them out to as many people as possible, without selling yourself down the river. There are ways to do that. The two aren't completely diametrically opposed, so I never really understood that, and I just thought it was always a bit short-sighted.
It's a bit disappointing. All right, Barney, shall we get to these 90s records?
Sorry, mate.
No, it's great. Just, so I'm not going to sort of put them all in one sort of chunk because I think each record's a bit different. But so Fear, Emptiness, and Despair.
Yeah.
I know it's sort of Shane's least favorite record, I think.
I don't know whether it is though, because I think he might have got.
When the last he did the article, didn't he, where he sort of had to rank.
Oh yeah, but it kind of
punishing task in itself.
Yeah. It kind of got put on the spot a little bit, so I'm not so sure.
All right, but
I actually, that what, I really liked that record.
Yeah.
At the time when we did it, it was a little bit of a struggle for me because I felt at that point, the fast and furious chaotic side of Napalm to me really meant a lot to me, and still does, and it was such a culture shock, that album was, when Shane and Mitch showed me the stuff they were writing for Fear Emptiness. I was kind of really taken aback, and I was really conflicted, about the whole thing. But with hindsight, looking back on it now, I mean, that album's pretty fucking raw. What I mean? And
it absolutely is. I mean, it's sort of more mid-paced, but just heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's like,
So I look at it with a far more positive light now, than what I did back then. So.
It's a lot of my mates. I mean, some people I know say that it's their favorite, but I mean, it's a good record. I love it.
Yeah.
And then
thanks, mate.
Yeah. And then I suppose after that, it's Diatribes.
That also, same thing with Fear Emptiness. I mean, that's actually a faster album in some ways.
It is,
a lot more fast stuff on there. And again, I think the sound of it is pretty fucking harsh.
It is. Yeah. So. And the only thing that I just as sort of a record buyer was this the sort of double 10-inch format. I think it was a thing at the time because Cathedral, Forest of Equilibrium was also like double 10-inch. But...
I mean, we also did the EP alongside that, which is the Greed Killing EP.
Yeah.
So, which looked about, the sleeve was very, very similar. So people often confuse the two.
Yeah, I've got it. I didn't sort of show it, but I've got that as well.
Yeah. So again, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and
I mean, 90s. I mean, 90s was sort of an interesting time, I suppose. They're a bit of a blur for me. I mean, a lot of new metal and black metal, and in the 90s. So,
I mean, the thing is, mate,
mm,
for us, from Napalm's
mm,
perspective, we it was pretty rough,
yeah,
in the mid to late part of the 90s.
yeah,
Like extreme music in general, people just weren't really going to the gigs anymore, even in places like Germany, which
right,
is kind of the peak,
yeah, yeah,
sort of numbers of people.
mm,
And it was rough. But as far as I was concerned, as far as we were
mm,
concerned as a band, we were just going to plow through it. We
yeah,
we we Napalm means and meant a fucking lot to us.
mm,
I think more so than some people could ever imagine. And we didn't want to give it up. Part of being in a band that's plows its own furrow is you don't just give up at the first hurdle. If you really believe in your art and stuff like that, you fucking push through it. Times get rough sometimes, but you just have to you have to deal with it a little bit.
yeah,
And so that's really what we did. He's just kind of played through it and just carried on regardless.
yeah, yeah. And I don't have words from the exit wound, but this is sort of my personal.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
inside the torn apart. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I love this
Again,
record. Yeah,
production's a little bit cleaner on those albums, but it's still pretty big. And there's a couple of very left field, a few very left field moments on that album that I really like. There's a couple of songs on that one and the one after, or the one after I can't quite remember, but there's a couple of songs that don't hit the mark for me really
all right.
still to this day, because the only there are no rules really with Napalm, except
Mm,
for I think whatever we do has to be abrasive, confrontational, sounding wise. And if it doesn't hit those, then to me, you're going to struggle. I'm going to struggle with it,
right,
because I've got to write, you know, very aggressive vocals to this
right.
stuff, whichever little sub style of vocals I do. And, I need that momentum, So there was a couple of songs that still don't do it for me. But, in the main, again, with hindsight,
Yeah.
I got a lot bigger appreciation. And looking at these albums, actually, Mike,
Mm,
when we do set lists,
mm,
I always try and do something from every period of Napalm. And
yeah,
I always, when I put the ideas to the guys, I always say, well, let's do something from those
yeah.
albums now, because they it's not as if they sound out of context
No,
with the
not at all. No,
arguably before and after more furious stuff, either end of those albums. They don't sound out of place in the sets. So.
no, no. It's funny. A few years ago, I was DJing at a sort of hardcore punk gig in Osaka, and I played Reflect from Conflict.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
the
yeah.
younger punks, they're young, they'd never heard it, and they were all coming and said, who's this? Who's this? And I sort of,
Yeah.
oh, wow, this is a
Oh, that's
severe
good. That's good to
hardcore
know. Yeah.
song,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure,
That's
sure,
a
sure.
that's a killer song. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that song. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's coming back to me now as you
Reflect from
mentioned.
Conflict.
So,
That's a
yeah,
killer song. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right, I've got a bit sort of going back a bit. I've got my friend Chris. He plays in that band Mind Eraser. He sort of
Yeah,
collects
yeah.
he collects Napalm Death test pressings, and he sort of knows a lot more than I do. But he was asking about the One in the Same EP that was with
Yeah,
Utopia
bloody
Banishment.
hell, mate. It's funny we were talking about that
Mm,
the other day.
mm.
Um, I might still have a test pressing of that somewhere,
Really, I mean,
actually.
he would be he's the bloke that would be after that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
the bloke
yeah,
for
yeah.
that. Well, he was sort of saying
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
a bit different. It's a bit different from and he was sort of saying, was it originally meant to be on the record, or was it deliberately?
no.
Mm,
I mean, the thing is, Mike, we've always had this thing where,
mm,
um, as far as I'm concerned, people that buy your albums, they in the early release part, the first 1-2 months, they don't have to do that. They could wait until the things come down in price. They can
right.
pick them up on the cheap.
Yeah.
So I think for the people that kind of commit themselves to the band in those early months, we
Mm,
always try and give them something
yeah.
extra, like proper extra, not just
Right.
some meaningless whatever. It's like we give them basically songs that will only appear on those release.
Right.
So hence with Utopia Banished,
Mm,
we specifically went to another studio, which was in Stratford-on-Avon. It was actually a guy from who was in a band called King. This old, I remember.
King.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was his studio. Paul King, yeah. From his studio was in, I think it was Stratford-on-Avon or something like that. So we went and recorded 6 tracks, which formed that EP. You know, which they're really good tracks. It turned out really good.
I mean, I'll be honest. It was Chris that he was like, "Go listen to these. You'll sort of have your mind blown."
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, bloody hell. Yeah. It's,
I like the King connection.
The days. Yeah.
All right. So the new album's out. I've ordered it, but it hasn't come in yet, unfortunately. So I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I've sort of listened to the 3 songs, you know, that are up on, you know, YouTube or whatever. And
yeah,
I've got to say that Amoral, I love it. It's just
thanks, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a real earworm as well, isn't it? It's just
well, I mean, you know, you know, it's unashamed, unabashed, like Killing Joke, you know, sort of.
Well, yeah, no, but I think there's a little bit of sort of, I don't know. It reminds me of Zygote as well, you know. It's like bands influenced by Killing Joke, you know.
Yeah. Trepin and Pal as well. There was another band from France. Did you ever hear them? Fucking great band. We toured with them actually. We played with them a couple of times. So.
Yeah, so that sort of was my favourite, but that also has like a bit of a 90s feel to it as well, sort of going back to what we were talking about, you know.
Yeah.
And Backlash, just because, also has that breakdown, which is sort of.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the Backlash song in particular, man, I fucking shit my pants when Shane played me, and that bass thing at the beginning, you know, the bass at the. I mean, that's a fucking concrete mixer, man. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
So I was quite excited when he played me that for the first time.
Yeah. And then Bellyful of Salt and Spleen. Is that going to be the last track on the album?
Yeah, that's the last track on the album. Yeah,
I mean, that was awesome. I mean, the video and everything was, you know, really, you know.
I think being from Europe, from England, you get the idea behind it. You know, the desensitization of people that are just basically trying to escape to safety and just would like a bit of dignity and not be fucking told to fuck off or pushed out or anything like that. You know. So.
Yeah, I actually sort of welled up a little bit looking at it. I mean, I haven't been back to England in sort of 20 years, so I'm sure it's might have changed a bit, you know, since I was.
Well, I live not too far from Dover's only like 40 miles down the road from here, so we have people trying to come across the channel in unseaworthy boats in the most dangerous shipping lane in the world, basically. You know, it's so busy, and you know, to my mind, you know, the people that do that deserve open arms, you know, and like, you know, and a bit of dignity, you know, not to be pushed away and dehumanized, you know. That's not it's just not humane, you know, to do that, you know.
Well, Barney, it's been, I mean, I could talk for hours with you, mate. I'm sure you've got things to do, cycling down to Brighton or.
Yeah, this afternoon, mate. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, but mate, Mike, if you want to do some more time at all, you know, just let me know. It's never a problem. Man, you know.
All right, that's great. I just wanted to ask you about next year. I mean, no one knows what's going on. Is there going to be anything going on?
Well, I mean, mate, to be honest, on paper, at least, we've got a full schedule. I mean, I've seen it. It's pretty insane, actually. You know, but who knows? I mean. We just don't know at this point. I mean, I'm taking it day by day. You know, I kind of look at it like this. You know, yeah, it's fucking weird. Seen as Napalm is such a, you know, an active touring band. You know, it's so weird that we're not doing it. But in the end, you know, I don't want to be. I would never want to be selfish about these things. And the point is that, you know, there are people out there who are like really susceptible to this thing. Look, I mean, my brother's actually got it right now, you know. he's okay, you know. He's not too bad. He's been quite ill, I think, but not to the point where he's needed hospitalisation or anything like that. So, but you know, there are people out there who are very susceptible to it, and if they did get it, would likely get it in a very, very bad way.
Yeah.
And you know, for those people alone, you know, and others like them, then I think I tend not to think about myself. You know, you know, it is slightly worrying, you know, for if you're in a band to be like this, if you want to go out and play. But I think there's just nothing you can really do about it. You know, it's like I'm not gonna lose sleep at night over it. I'm just gonna kind of roll with it and see how it goes. And like what will be sort of thing, you know. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to get out playing. We've actually got some stuff in the Czech Republic in November, which the Czech Republic's doing gigs, you know, right now in a safe way. And so we will do those if they're still on the thing. But as for other places, we don't have anything else booked in for this year at the moment.
Is Japan on the list for next year?
Oh mate, I fucking wish, you know what I mean? But
it's a bit of a
I don't know, you know. I actually wanted to come over. I was speaking to Randy, you know, he offered to put me up at his place, you know, but in the brewery, you know, which is great, you know, staying above a brewery, you know. But I'm sure you know ALEWORKS. I don't know if you've been there.
I've been there
you know.
a bunch of times. Yeah, every time I go to church, like ALEWORKS, and then there's Thrash Zone. Have you been to Thrash Zone?
Yeah. Thrash Zone, mate. I've had some. I come out of there. I've had some quite heavy nights in there.
Extreme beer only. You know, it's like
yeah.
He's a great. I love that guy. Koichi. He's such a good boy.
Yeah, Koichi. Yeah.
I used to go there all the time. Been there for a few years.
Yeah.
I love him. He's
great. Well, I used to roll. I mean, we used to occasionally meet Captain in there, and you know, a couple of the, you know, like I mean, Captain's, you know, so it was like, yeah, I mean, I really miss it, mate. I mean, Japan's my second home, really. You know, you know, it's like 15, 20 years ago, it was really hard being like vegetarian, vegan, you know, in Japan. But still, you know, whether there's a will, there's a way. You can do it, you know. But now in Japan, it's fucking easy, like, you know what I mean. And
actually, a few of the older punks are sort of starting to turn vegan and vegetarian too. After they went to Europe, they sort of seen, you know, from Death Side and forward, he's almost vegan.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, because a lot of those old Japanese punk bands were staunch, like, you know. Well, I mean, Gowser did a couple of songs that were like very, very not very vegetarian, vegan friendly, you know, back in the day. But you know, whatever, you know. But no, I mean, it's great, you know. I've been to some. Yeah, I have to say that Japan has some of the most, in terms of. I mean, I like to make my own food, you know. I cook my own food, but Japan has some of the most incredible vegan, vegetarian, like, cooperatives and restaurants, you know. I mean, incredible places, you know. So I mean, great, you know. And I just miss it. I miss it very much, you know. It actually makes me quite sad, you know, to not be able to come, you know. But I just hope it's not too long, you know, because it's about time. I used to do, like, up until 2-3 years ago, I used to come for like 6, 7, 8 weeks at a time, you know, and just stay. Yeah. Tokyo, Sendai. Got a lot of friends in Sendai. Harima-san, who's a guy on the local scene there. I used to go and see him. We used to have a fucking really good time up there, you know. And just kind of flip between kind of Tokyo, Sendai, Yokohama as well, because I've got a few friends in Yokohama, you know, and you know, just generally go out and see the country, not just stick to the metropolitan areas. But Japan's fucking beautiful, man. It is, some of the untouched nature that hasn't been developed or, you know, fucking messed with or anything like that. That's some incredible places, you know. So,
I mean, you could just 20-30 minutes out of Osaka, it's beautiful, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So if you come over next time, try and come down to Osaka. I'll show you.
Definitely. Yeah, that'd be great, you know, because I'm not I'm not with my ex Konomi anymore because so
All right.
we used to stay a lot around Tokyo because of her job. You know,
All
she
right.
worked in an animal hospital. You
All
know,
right.
so but now when I come, you know, obviously I can travel, you know, a lot more
Right.
because I have to look after myself, you know,
Yeah.
be consider myself, should I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always up for a bit. Just get the old rail pass is still
Oh,
a
it's
freaking
such a
magnificent
bargain.
thing, you
I
know,
couldn't believe it.
brilliant.
The first time I came to Japan, like 1990, I went everywhere.
Yeah.
Tokyo, Hiroshima, one day, back again, see a gig in
Oh, mate,
Tokyo. Like,
totally. And it's frightening to think the money I didn't have, you know, that I spent on fucking hardcore records, you know, and
oh God,
whatever else, you
yeah,
know, just frightening when I think
yeah,
about it
yeah.
now,
But
you
even
know.
back then, it was sort of still sort of cheap though the records
Yeah,
compared to now.
yeah,
Oh, I mean, it's insane now. You know,
yeah. I
the
know, I can
records are
imagine.
way
Yeah, I haven't
outpriced.
looked in recent
Yeah, I
times.
mean, it's
Yeah,
crazy. You know, it's silly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, mate. Thanks for talking to me. It's been real
Mate,
nice.
Mike, at any time. Absolute pleasure, mate.
Yeah,
Absolute
had a
pleasure.
good
Yeah,
time. Take it easy. I'm gonna do my
yeah.
little outro. I always do. All
Yeah,
right,
good
all
stuff,
right. See
mate.
you again, mate.
CMR, I mean, even thinking about CMR now, it's bringing it all back to me. You know what I mean? Bringing everything back to me. So.
All right. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay
All right, my
healthy
friend.
and
Cheers,
stay safe.
everybody.
Thanks, Barney.
All the best.
See
Stay
you later.
safe.
Cheers.
Cheers. All
Cheers.
right. Cheers.